first story I want to start off with is the AUTOPEN story. Okay, Rob, if you can go to the Truth Social the president had, I'll read that, then there's a video of him talking about it. So this is the president. We talked about this last week, okay? And a lot of the clips of the moment while we're going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and then Vinny reads the ChatGPT that says pardons cannot use AUTOPENs, right? And then boom. That clip is all over X that's being shared, but this is the president on the 17th sharing this yesterday. The pardons that Sleepy Joe Biden gave to unselect committee of political thugs and many others are hereby declared void, vacant, and of no further force for effect because of the fact that they were done by AUTOPEN. In other words, Joe Biden did not sign them, but more importantly, he did not know anything about them. The necessary pardoning documents were not explained to or approved by Biden. He knew nothing about them, and the people that did may have committed a crime. Therefore, those on the unselect committee who destroyed and deleted all evidence obtained during their 2-year witch hunt of me and many other innocent people should fully understand that they are subject to investigation at the highest level. The fact is they're probably responsible for the Democrats that were signed on their behalf without their knowledge or consent of the worst president in the history of our country, Crooked Joe Biden. Okay, he posted this. Rob, do you have the clip of him being asked this on the plane?
Orders those pardons from the former president now null and void?
Well, I think so. It's not my decision. That'll be up to a court. But I would say that they're null and void because I'm sure Biden didn't have any idea that it was taking place. And somebody was using an AUTOPEN to sign off and to give pardons to, as an example, just one example, but the J6 Unselect Committee. They gave, think of it, they gave pardons with an AUTOPEN. I don't think Biden knew anything about it. And what they did is they deleted and destroyed all of the information that took them over a year to get.
Okay, so that's that part. Now, Rob, go to the clip where the press secretary is being asked about it by CNN.
About issuing preemptive pardons to
What's her name, by the way?
But was he aware of his signature being used on every single pardon? That's a question you should ask the Biden White House. Is there any evidence on that he wasn't aware
Watch this.
You're a reporter. You should find out, Sean.
That's your job. If you call yourself a journalist, go ask the questions and find out if that happened or not. Before I come to you guys, can you go to the tweet, Rob, when I posted this tweet? Something very interesting happened. Because I posted that above somebody that said, Grok, can you verify this? Hey, Pat, genuine question. Where is it written that it has to be a wet signature? Curious. So I asked ChatGPT, and Grok responded to this. We asked, can presidents use AUTOPEN for pardons? No, U.S. presidents cannot use an AUTOPEN to sign pardons. The Constitution grants the president all executive or inclusive order to issue pardons under Article Section 2, and legal interpretation suggests that a pardon must be personally signed, wet signature, by the president to be valid. Now watch what Grok says. Grok responds and says, research shows AUTOPEN is likely valid for pardons, not just admin docs. No legal rule requires a wet signature. Presidents like Obama use it for bills, and Biden's pardons faced no legal voiding despite debate. Your claim, I cannot read the rest, Rob, on the bottom, seems off-base on history and practice. So you got ChatGPT and Grok who don't agree with each other. The only thing that's left is us bringing in a constitutional lawyer. By the way, Grok kept getting involved and saying more things and more things and more things and more things. This was actually a very good experience. I would love to see a podcast between Grok and right there. Click on that one right there with
Grok and ChatGPT going at it.
That's exactly it. No evidence that Biden's pardons were unauthorized or invalid due to AUTOPEN signatures. Legal precedent like a 1920 Solicitor General's opinion supports the validity as the Constitution does not specify signing methods of pardon. Historical use by presidents can go a little more, including Obama backs this up, claims of illegitimacy, seems like more political tactics. So Grok is calling out President Trump, is what Grok is doing. So, Vinny, your thoughts on this?
Oh, man. I hate to be those people, you know, that saying that we told you so. From the beginning, we knew that Joe Biden was not in charge. Every single time, Tom was one of the first ones that pointed it out. Every time there was a conversation or something was happening and they wanted to actually ask him questions, he would turn and be like, listen, I wish I could. They told me I can't. And from the beginning, we were saying, who the hell is the they? We know Blinken and all these people are involved, but it's who? Guys, who's the actual person? Because we have investigations. Remember, we said last year was a year of investigation. The team is in place. I want all of this investigated because if you think about it, who are we talking about right now? Anthony Fauci, okay? Mr. Fauci himself. This is, and like I said, our patience has been running thin. People like me that have been ride or die with this whole movement that have gotten freaking bullied, punched in the head because I was wearing a red hat in LA. We deserve something. We want somebody to go to jail for what they've done. I know we're going to get into Hunter later, but Fauci and everything that he did, General Mark Milley, which was basically what he was doing was treasonous. He was saying, if something happens, I'm going to tell China that we're going to attack. That's all treasonous, especially coming from a general. And then the January 6th committee. I think, especially with this type of investigation, if it's for sure that his signature wasn't involved, it wasn't actually him, I want them all to be lifted, and then the real investigations have to happen. I want accountability for everything that these people have done.
Tom.
Plain and simple.
I think there's a trouble brewing here. And the trouble that I think is brewing is things like this, the Oversight Project showing that it was conclusively like what? Well, they're saying, and their claim is it's nearly conclusive that these are all AutoPen signatures. So we have that. Now we have even the press asking about it. You know, CNN's asking about it, and you have citizens asking about it on X and in other places. So now you're only one step from a senator or a congressman asking about it. And I think what's about to happen here is this is going to boil up, and it's going to end up in front of the Supreme Court because it has to do with executive powers, and specifically the execution and proper execution of executive powers. So I think this is, number one, it's not going away. And number two, if it gets to the Supreme Court, I've gone down the list. I think this is 5-4. I think this is, if it gets to the Supreme Court, should you or should you not use the AutoPen? The conservative view is probably going to come down 5-4.
And let me ask you a question, though. If that comes down 5-4, Tom, and it's all lifted and all the pardons are null and void, does he have Kash Patel and Pam Bondi go after these people for what they freaking did to him?
That's a second question, and I think you probably could answer that with, depending on the people, you got a couple hell yeses in there, Anthony Fauci, and you've got a couple maybes.
Okay.
If we had a competent president, it would not have happened. The man was grossly incompetent. All you have to do is take a look at he signs by AutoPen. Who was signing all this stuff by AutoPen? Who would think you signed important documents by AutoPen? You know, these are major documents you're signing. You're proud to sign them. You have your signature on something. In 300 years, they say, oh, look, can you imagine? Everything was signed by AutoPen, almost everything. Nobody's ever heard of such a thing. So should have never happened.
Okay, so that's that part. This next one here, watch this one.
The president also claimed overnight that the pardons issued by former President Biden are void for the January 6th committee members, but the pardon power in the Constitution for the president is absolute.
It is, and by the way, there's no indication that President Biden signed these with an AutoPen. That's what President Trump is arguing, that these were signed with an AutoPen and therefore they're not valid. We don't know that they were signed with an AutoPen, but even if they were, it's unclear that that would be an issue. In fact, President Bush back in 2005, the White House did a study on this and determined that even orders signed with an AutoPen are valid orders. That proposition's never been tested in court. I guess the big question here, though, George, is does this imply that that President Trump wants to actually prosecute members of the January 6th committee?
Hopefully. They did something illegal,
Adam.
which it looks like they did.
So, but this is the question. That ought to give, and by the way, as a president or a leader of a company, this is what you do. Your job, and this is what Trump does very well. Here's what Trump does. Hey, guess what, guys? What? You know, and he uses keywords. May, if, what if? Let's look into it. And then he throws it out there to the people, okay? And he just sees, okay, guess what happened to that story?
Use that napkin.
Nobody cared about that story, right?
Yeah.
And it just kind of goes.
I understand.
Then he goes, boom, drops the next one. And then all of a sudden, boom, okay, there's something here. Why did they react the way they did? If the media reacts increasingly frustrated and scared to this, he rattled them and he keeps going.
Great point.
That's what,
Understand
so
that.
he's playing that. He's not focused on this. This is just something he's playing with the opposition. That's, again, my opinion. I could be wrong and you could be right. I'm just giving you my interpretation
I would love to.
of what
Rob,
I think
did
is
you run
going
a poll,
on here.
Rob, or no?
But I don't know. Here's the thing, and I understand it's not hills to die. And I remember when we were talking about Joe Biden and helping Israel and helping all these other places, and I think it might have been you saying that, we could walk and chew gum at the same time. This isn't, like he just said, a huge thing, but there's a line in the movie JFK that Kevin Costner says. He's playing the Attorney General Garrison. He says, "Let justice be done, though the heavens fall," which is it was a Latin legal term that basically says, meaning justice must be served no matter the consequences and no matter what the hell happens, okay? Dr. Fauci, Mr. Fauci, think about this for a second, Adam. All the lies that he did in front of Congress, all the people that are affected. I saw a video yesterday, Pat, that choked me up. It's this girl that's just laying in bed, shaking because she's vaccine injured because of people like that lied to the American people. Families ruined, military people kicked out of the freaking military, lives destroyed, and I'm just harping on just him. Yes, we want it. If he was pardoned for doing what? Like, what did they think was going to happen? He got pre-pardoned for not doing anything because why? Trump and them were going to weaponize the justice system? No, that's the type of shit that drives me crazy. And Mark Milley being a general saying that if Trump gave the order to attack, you would go behind his back and say no, that's treason. You're a general. So I think you can walk and chew gum at the same time. He has a million things going on, but appoint the right people to go. Dude, it doesn't take a genius to go, there's Joe Biden's signature. These are all the same ones. It's not him. Go to the Supreme Court and reverse this shit because we want accountability, plain and simple. That's it.
Okay, so there's a reason why this is landing the way it is with people is because people want to find out why the hell a Fauci got immunity. And immunity for what? You didn't commit any crime yet. Why are they giving you immunity?
Bingo.
Is it because of a future crime? Is it born? What is that movie?
Minority Report.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
What is it? Let's find out about it. That's all people are saying. So, by the way, we could go back to Tom's first thought when he said, if this goes to the Supreme Court and this goes 5-4, done. I hope it does. And if it doesn't, it is what it is. It means there wasn't much interest in it, but I hope President Trump and his camp takes it to that level.
If you enjoy this content, please consider subscribing to my channel to stay up to date with future videos. Thank you for watching.